No matter what, people will commit to misunderstanding you. What's most important is your commitment to understanding yourself. Hello, you guys. My name is Nkiriko Madani, known as NK, and welcome back to Misunderstood. How to romanticize your spring. Today, we are talking about our ultimate spring bucket list. I have done this specific episode for every single season so far. I started doing this in the summer, then I did the fall one, I did the winter one, and as I look back, these are one of the most listened to episodes of my entire portfolio of episodes. You guys really do love hearing about each season's bucket list and really getting ideas about how to spend your time each season. So I am more than happy to continue doing these. But as I mentioned, I never got to do my spring one because I started with summer. So we definitely had to come full circle and bring a spring bucket list to you guys. The funniest part about this is I am recording this while we just went through a blizzard in New York City. However, this is going up on March 2nd, and truly in my head, when it is March, it is spring. And yes, technically in March, we do enter spring. We do have a few more weeks of winter at this point, but we're keeping our heads positive and we are wishfully bringing in spring. I think this is a really good time for us to start to get excited about this new season, especially because winter was very, very tough. Winter was very long and cold and hard and depressing. So let this be an episode that starts to lift your spirits and we can finally start to look forward into the nicer, warmer, happier months of the year. But before we get started, take some time right now to rate this show, Misunderstood, 5 stars. You guys know I say this every single episode because I believe it is really important to keep on reminding all the new people who come across the show that, one, the show means so much to me and I'm so happy about the viewership thus far, but also in order to continue bringing weekly episodes, we do need to get the ratings up, and it is a very easy, free way to show support to the podcast. So if you have not already, please take some time right now to rate the show, Misunderstood, 5 stars on both Apple, Spotify. Also take some time to leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. That would mean so much to me. Thank you so much. Also, I just wanted to say before we get into this specific episode, the past few episodes have been pretty heavy, pretty serious, and more deep, I would say. But as I mention quite frequently on this podcast, we have range, and I really wanted to bring a light, happy, more low-key episode, more chit-chat episode rather than these deeper, heavier topics that we have been discussing in the past few weeks. But on this podcast, we definitely switch over very frequently from the deep stuff to the more chill, happy, non-serious chit chat. So let this one be one that will truly lift your spirits, one that you can definitely derive information from. Feel free to do any of the items I say on this list. This list is actually for you guys to take something from and gather your own list and inspiration on how to make spring romantic and exciting. I think spring is a very underrated season. Personally, I have always overlooked spring. I, for some reason, skip to summer every single year after winter. I'm craving summer, but there is so much beauty in spring. We are turning a new leaf, quite literally, and we are finally getting rid of the hibernation months, and not just us within, we see around us how life is blooming again. And I think that's a really exciting staple about the spring season. As I begin my pretty long list of items to romanticize your spring, I want you guys to keep in mind, I did write this list in my journal last year in 2025, and I took some time to go through the list, see what I wanted to bring to this episode. All of it is pretty much still very consistent, and I did add a few more items as I wanted to brainstorm some new and fresh ideas that I definitely want to do this spring, and maybe you also want to as well. Of course, feel free to take any inspiration from this list. All right. We have 27 items on our spring bucket list. This is I believe, just as long as my fall bucket list, which was my longest bucket list I have ever made. So strap in, get sat. If you're on a hot girl walk, wherever you are, enjoy. These are also in no particular order, so keep that in mind. Number one, make a spring mood board. I love the idea of making a mood board every single season to really inspire you further visually on how you want your actual season to unfold. I started doing this in the fall and I did one in winter, and they were really good benchmarks for me to internally check in with myself and make sure that I was doing the things I wanted to do and inspiring myself to also get out there when I felt like I wasn't doing as much. Mood boards really, really help with that. I've mentioned this before, but I consult Pinterest for all of my mood board wants and activities. Pinterest is such an amazing resource. I think I've been using Pinterest for 12 or 13 years now. I remember using it in middle school and it'll always be so near and dear to my heart. Take maybe the weekend and make a spring mood board that will really help you feel really excited and happy about this new season. Number two, pancake day. All right, so this is for people who, of course, like pancakes like me. I love pancakes. They're actually my favorite breakfast food that I never eat because I never make them for myself. But anytime I go to brunch, I'm usually getting pancakes over anything else. And this is throwing it back to childhood, but IHOP has a pancake day every single year. And I'm so happy that they still do this. I looked it up. It is March 3rd. So pancake day is actually the day after this podcast episode goes out. So if you're watching this, the day it comes out, mark your calendars and go treat yourself to pancakes at IHOP. It's a national pancake day, so I believe they do this at all IHOPs around the country. And I think it's just so fun to have a really comforting breakfast. I personally think, just like winter, spring is still a really great time to lean into those more cozy, simple joys. And something about pancakes just make me feel still very warm and happy. Number three, go to a hobby event or host a hobby event. I love hosting. It's one of my love languages that I like to share with others. This is how I believe I show other people love, is by getting people together and hosting things and creating experiences for others. And I've been really thinking about what I wanted to do for spring, and I really want to host a hobby event. There are so many different ways that you can do this, but some of the hobbies that were on my mind that I want to try to do are writing love letters, egg painting, charm bracelets, making flower bouquets, and making wreaths. I think those are just so fun and, of course, hands-on activities that you can do with your friends and honestly spend an entire afternoon, an entire evening enriching yourself in something that you wouldn't do every single day. These are items that I would honestly not do on a regular day, but to bring people together and focus in on a hobby just sounds really, really fun. Number four, pickleball. So I started playing pickleball late summer of last year and I really, really enjoyed it. It's a really great way to stay active. It's a really good way to be outside and also be very social. Here in New York City, there are a ton of pickleball courts that I realized as the year went on, and I met a lot of really cool people. I met a few celebrities, and it was just a really fun way to stay consistently active each week. So I definitely want to bring that back. The main thing about pickleball is that it is pretty weather dependent if you're playing outside. Of course, there are indoor pickleball courts, but they're actually quite expensive. So having the outdoor free pickleball courts is definitely the way to go. It's actually quite simple to pick up. I would say to get really good at it, you do have to be playing it pretty regularly, but I was playing once a week and I really enjoyed it. And then of course it got cold. So now that we are turning back into warmer weather in the coming months, I really want to pick that back up again and go find more friends who are interested in playing and go. I actually also was gifted a pickleball paddle and ball set. Now I just have to get out there and go play. Number five, Tulip Day. This is a concept that I heard about in New York City when I first moved here 3 years ago. And I'm really sad to say that I never got to go to the actual Tulip Day, and I put it in my calendar this year. But sadly, I believe that they canceled Tulip Day for 2026, which honestly, don't even get me started. That made me me really sad because I do want to experience it, but Tulip Day was a day in Union Square. I believe that they give out a bouquet of tulips to as many people as they had the quantities for. I love flowers. Flowers are so important to me. I try to get flowers semi-frequently to have in my space. So the idea of tulips for free just sounded amazing. But outside of Tulip Day, just going to a park and looking at the tulips as they bloom is really, really sweet and special. I think tulips are just such a beautiful flower. There are so many other flowers that I love, but I believe that spring is the season for tulips specifically. So just going out and seeing some tulips will always put a smile on my face. Number 6, cherry blossoms on Roosevelt Island. So continuing on with our flower theme, cherry blossoms are also the flower of the season and they bloom so beautifully around April, early May. So we still have quite a bit of time for them to really reach their peak. There are a lot of really beautiful places to, of course, go see cherry blossoms. I know that Washington, D.C. is known for their cherry blossom festival, and here in New York City, they're everywhere, honestly, in Central Park. But the first time I ever saw cherry blossoms here in New York City was actually on Roosevelt Island, and I took the tram to get there, and that was so much fun. It was such a beautiful experience, and I absolutely have to do that again, depending on wherever you are in the country. And of course, I know I'm talking a lot about New York specific things, but a lot of these things, of course, you can experience anywhere. Flowers are in most places in the country, in the world. So just take some time and look up where you might find some cherry blossoms wherever you live and make it a point to go out and see them in person. Number 7, bike ride in Central Park. I love Central Park and I'm really thankful that I live in New York City and have access to that whenever I want. And I actually used to live really, really close to Central Park, which was such a treat. But I also love bike riding, and something about biking the length of Central Park is such a thrill. It's so beautiful in there, all the trees, all the scenery, the city backdrop as you're strolling around. It is so much fun. I love using City Bike. I know that City Bike has a membership, which I actually did have for a little bit of last year. I believe that a 20-30 minute ride is probably around $12, $13, $14. So not horrible. It's of course, not something I do frequently, but I think it is fun to go take a bike ride in the park and see things while you're on the bike. It's such a great activity. Number 8, art galleries. And specifically for my New York City people in Tribeca, I went to a good amount of art galleries last year and honestly gallery hopped, which is a big thing here in New York City. And I found that a lot of galleries are actually very close together, which makes it very easy to gallery hop. There were times where I would go to 3 to 4 in one night, and a lot of them have complimentary wine and just being able to take in art, which is one of my most favorite things to do, is take in art in person and also be social. I befriended a few people while I was bouncing around and going to these different art galleries, which was super fun. So this is definitely another one that you should look into per your city specifically and see what they have going on. Number 9 is walk the Brooklyn Bridge. So I have been doing this every single year since I visited New York City in 2019. Every single time after that trip, when I was here, I would walk the Brooklyn Bridge at least once. And now that I live here, and I've lived here for 3 years, every single year I make it a point to walk the Brooklyn Bridge. So it is a true tradition at this point. Of course, it's such an iconic bridge. Everyone knows about it. Everyone talks about it. And it is a pretty decent walk. I believe it's a mile, a little bit over a mile, but it's the perfect amount of walking time. And it's just such an iconic thing to do. Such a good exercise, but it's also just an iconic activity to do. Number 10, picnic in the park. I love sitting in the park and I will find any excuse to do so, whether it be reading a book at the park or actually having a full-on picnic where we have snacks, we have drinks, we have games, we have music, we are just hanging out. And I really want to make that more of a point to do this spring because, as we mentioned, once the weather gets above 50 degrees, I feel like that is a good temperature to start going outside and sitting at the park for hours during a weekend. Number 11, try new hands-on activities. There are a ton of activities that I have never done and I do want to do in New York City and specifically in the spring. The first one is going to the drawing night at MoMA, which is a museum here in New York City. Every Friday night, they have a free drawing class, and MoMA actually provides all the supplies. So you literally just show up and draw for, I think, an hour. And that just sounds so much fun to me. And I personally really want to expand more on my drawing. I've famously said I am not a drawer. I'm not a very good drawer in my own right, but I think it's just fun to try new things that challenge you. And that is something I've had my eye on. The next activity I really want to do is shadow box making. So it is essentially taking a ton of different matchboxes that either you bring or you find them at different retailers, different restaurants, and you put them in a glass case and you can use it to then hang up. And it essentially is artwork at that point. And something about that is just really fun and different to me. I actually have a ton of matchboxes that I've been saving from any dinners I go to, any events that have them and they give them away. I have a good amount. So whether it is going out and finding an actual class or doing a good old DIY project at home, that is something I absolutely want to do this spring. The other new hands-on activity I want to do is pottery. I have been wanting to do pottery for a very long time. I've never done it as an adult. And I really want to spend time and fully immerse myself in making something truly from scratch and seeing how that process is. There are a few places I know in New York City that do intro pottery classes. So depending on pricing and depending on availability, that is something I'm definitely putting on the calendar this season. And the last one is paint and sip. I have done paint and sip before. We also did paint and sip at Galentine's, and it kind of re-inspired me to paint more in my free time. You really only need a few supplies to actually do this. And this is something you can easily do at home. You can take this to the park. You can do this with friends. I feel like it's a very mobile activity that you can take anywhere. I definitely want to encourage myself to do painting more. And yes, maybe also add on the sip part, which could mean drinking wine, but it could also just mean making a mocktail and doing more of a self-care night. Number 12 is celebrate St. Patrick's Day. I love St. Patrick's Day. I know, a little random, but I just love the idea of festive activities. I actually have said this back in San Francisco. There were so many really quirky, fun activities that we would get dressed up for. And I actually live for stuff like that. I do love the idea of the whole city getting together and celebrating something. It's a theme. We're all into it. And St. Patrick's Day is definitely one of those. And I think just wearing green is fun. Maybe I'll get some temporary hand tattoos, some glitter. But me and my friends are actually already planning on what we want to do for St. Patrick's Day. And there are a few places in New York City that are definitely hot spots for hanging out on St. Patrick's Day. And the other really fun thing that I try to do every single year is get a green beer, which is essentially just normal beer, and they put some green food coloring in it to make it green. Again, it's just about being festive. It's just about being fun and leaning into the spirit of it all. And if you didn't know, St. Patrick's Day is coming up. So get your friends together, go out, wear some green, and have some fun. Number 13 is going to a botanical garden. So now I have been to 2 different botanical gardens here in New York City. I went to the Bronx Botanical Garden back in 2025, and I recently went to the Brooklyn Botanical Garden 2 months ago. However, it was not in peak season, so I do have to go back to the Brooklyn Botanical Garden in the spring because, of course, all of the plants and honestly everything hasn't really bloomed because everything has been in hibernation. So I really need to go back and see it in full bloom and really take everything in. Number 14 is make a flower bouquet. This is, again, going back to what I said earlier, me loving flowers. And I learned last year that you can go pick your own flowers at Whole Foods and they will make it into a bouquet for you for free. You just have to buy the flowers. And I just think that is such a great service that they have. But if you, of course, want to try your hand at actually making a bouquet, it's really fun. I have done that and I do want to do that again. I think it's just fun to try to put something together like that on your own and use your own thoughts and creativity to make something essentially from scratch. But if you are curious about the Whole Foods flower bouquet making process, it really all depends on the flowers that you pick. That determines how much it is. So you can make a huge flower bouquet, and of course that'll be a lot more expensive than picking a few flowers and doing a smaller bouquet. Making flower bouquets is just such a fun little treat in your week, and I think it'll also really brighten up your space as well. Or you can gift it to somebody. I feel like that would be a very thoughtful gift to give someone. Number 15 is going to a farmer's market. I think spring is for sure farmer's market season. It's warmer, of course, but just like how the world gets warmer, our plants and our vegetation also thrives when it's a little warmer. Fruits and seasonal vegetables and seasonal items that you can really only get in spring and summer. So I'm very much looking forward to just taking a stroll in a farmer's market and seeing what I come across. And I also really enjoy talking to the vendors and I really like learning about them and their stories. Very important to support small businesses. I am pro farmers markets. I always have been, and I do love supporting them when I can. Number 16 is get something embroidered. I have been wanting to do this for a while. I'm actually planning on making something embroidered for my baby sister as her housewarming gift. And I know she's not listening, so I can say this, but I'm looking forward to making something for her at a embroidery store here in New York City called Abode. And I'm looking forward to doing that. I think it's something that is a really cool skill. And I know that if I actually tried, I could totally learn embroidery, but that might take a little bit. So I'm more than happy to go and find retailers that can make very intricate, unique things that I can gift for myself or for other people. Number 17 is spring cleaning and apartment decor bedding updates. Of course, it's in the name. Really doing a refresh and overhaul for spring, putting away your winter items for the most part and refreshing your space, getting new bedding, switching up your decor, decluttering things that you know that you don't need. This is the time to do it. For this one specifically, I wanted to mention the bedding update. I really, really do want yellow bedding for spring. I have been changing my bedding out every season. In fall, I had a burnt orange, which honestly looked really, really good. For December, the holiday months, I had holiday bedding. If you're on video, you can see that I have lavender bedding, which I've had for the last 2 months. And I really, really, really want yellow bedding. I think yellow screams spring. Butter yellow is really in right now. And I think that would just look so beautiful as bedding. So I have my eyes peeled and I really do want to find some beautiful yellow bedding to just freshen up the space, to brighten up the space. Number 18, update spring perfume and makeup. So along with doing a refresh for the season, I think it's fun to think about your go-to scents. I am huge on perfume. I wear perfume literally every single day. And one of the compliments I get often is that I smell great. And it's because I put perfume on every single day. And it's very important to me to have a signature scent. And for spring, I do like to rotate out my staple scents that I wear. Definitely in fall and winter, I'm wearing more bold and darker scents. But for spring, I do like to completely switch that out and wear more light, more sweet scents. So I did want to shout out a few. I actually brought them over here so that I can read them off. First one in my hand is Replica by Maison Margiela Paris. This one smells amazing. It is definitely a little bit tart, but I think it's such a fresh scent. The next one is Flower Bomb by Victor and Rolf. This one is very, very sweet and floral, but it is definitely on the sweeter side. But I like scents like that. And the last one I have here is Good Chemistry by Queen Bee. This one has a little bit of jasmine and a little bit of lavender. So again, very fresh floral scents. And I think these three are just three examples of really great spring perfume recs that you can rotate through. And for makeup, there's not much that I update, but I do find that I like to update my lip combo and I like to update my blush. I really, really love a bright pink for spring for blush. And I find that during the fall and winter, I wear a darker berry toned blush. And for spring, I really, really like wearing a brighter pink because it completely brightens my face. And for my lip combo, I like to wear a lighter lipstick rather than a darker lipstick. But again, that is just my personal preference. These are just a few ways that I like to switch things up per the season. Number 19 is afternoon tea time. I have yet to do a true afternoon tea time. I was very close to doing it at the Plaza Hotel. They have a whole tea experience. I believe it's a 90-minute tea experience, which I do want to do. That's on my New York City bucket list. But in terms of just an afternoon tea time, I think it's a fun idea to get a girlfriend and literally go out to tea. There are a few other places here in New York that do it, and I've written them down. But if you're into tea, of course, that's something that I would consider doing. Number 20 is day trip out of the city. Like I mentioned, I live in New York City, so I'm referencing New York City when I say this, but wherever you are, just taking a day trip outside of your immediate surroundings just kind of gives you a fresh perspective, and it kind of allows you to really grasp other things around you. Every single time that I have ventured outside of the city for the day, it has made me feel better. I love New York, and I've always said this, but there's so much outside of the city, and it gives you a new perspective because so many people live very differently than our little bubble of New York City. Here in New York, there are a ton of places that you can venture out to. I've been to Cold Spring. I really want to go to Hudson Valley, really want to go to the Catskills. There are still places that I have not been to, and those are the places that I have my sights set on for the spring. Number 21 is Boathouse in Central Park. I did this literally a year ago, last March, for the first time. I went solo and it was really, really fun. I saw so many other people in their boats with a partner, with their family, however you want to do it. I think that is such a quintessential New York City thing to do. And of course, this one is pretty New York City specific because I know that most places don't do this, but I think it's pretty iconic that Central Park has their boathouse and it's been featured in so many different movies. It really is beautiful and it's a really fun time. And if you are curious, I believe it is $15 for 30 minutes. That might be wrong, but it really wasn't expensive and it was more than enough time for me to feel like I got the full experience. Number 22 is make a seasonal baked good. So last year I did this with a strawberry shortcake. That was my very first time attempting a strawberry shortcake, which I made from scratch, which I was really, really proud of, actually. I made the biscuit from scratch, I made the strawberry puree from scratch, and then I technically did not make the whipped cream from scratch, but you know what I mean. I was really proud of myself for trying something completely new, following a recipe, and making something that was also very, very good. I had a neighbor at the time, and I gave him the rest of it because I made a ton. I was really happy that I also got to share that with somebody else. It tasted amazing. I'll leave the link to that recipe in the description if anybody wants to attempt to make them as well. But honestly, if you think of any type of seasonal baked good, I would highly recommend trying to make it for yourself. Strawberry shortcake was just the first thing that I thought of, and also I had always wanted to make one and I wanted that challenge. So anything that you can think of. I think lemon cookies would be fun. Banana pudding, even though I don't like bananas, but if you like bananas, I think trying banana pudding would be fun. I've also always wanted to make my own ice cream, like a sorbet. I think that would be a really great baked good activity to also try. Number 23 is walk the length of Manhattan, which I technically have not fully done this yet. I walked half of it in 2024. I walked half of it in 2025 from the other way. I just have not walked the entire thing. That is still a very, very big feat. That will take a literal entire day. But I think that I'm going to ask one of my friends if they want to come accompany me on that journey. I think it would be more fun to do the full thing with a buddy. But of course, wherever you are, I think it would be fun to spend a day walking around your city, around your hometown, because truly you learn so much while you're walking around that you would not know if you were in a car, if you're in the subway. There are so many things that I've said, I did not know this was here, or just learning something new about your area just because you are walking. So the power of walking is real. And I think it would be really fun to spend a nice sunny spring day walking around the city. Number 24 is make a new mocktail. So I've talked to you guys a little bit about my mocktail journey. I started making mocktails now 2 years ago. I just like the idea of taking a break from alcohol and just drinking less alcohol in general. An everyday mocktail would be a really great way to get excited about drinking something other than water. That was the other thing. I don't love drinking just water. I just don't really like the taste of water. It's very bland. So substituting it with a mocktail has always really enticed me. There are a lot of different types of mocktail flavors that I have come to love. I do like more sweet drinks, so strawberry, any type of berry, I would say. I also do love creamsicle, soda flavored things. Some lime and ginger, very, very good. These are just a few of the flavors that I have tried over time and I really, really like. And I really do find most of my mocktail recipes on Pinterest. I literally just search strawberry flavored mocktail, ginger flavored mocktail, and someone somewhere has made one. Number 25 is make fresh lemonade. So I actually did this the same day that I made the strawberry shortcake, which was so much fun to have my baked good. And then I also made fresh lemonade. This is very dependent on if you like lemonade, of course. Most of these are very dependent on personal preference, but I grew up loving lemonade. I actually grew up doing lemonade stands with my siblings. So this is a very nostalgic one. Lemonade has always made me think of the warmer months of the year. And there is something about that sweet tart that I really, really like. It's actually really easy to make lemonade. It literally took 10 minutes. It's literally 3 ingredients and it tastes great. Number 26 is festival season. Festival season, I believe, starts in the spring. Most of the festivals that I have ever gone to start in April. That's really when we get true, consistent, good weather from April and beyond. Sometimes March can be a little finicky, but April and beyond, we are pretty much guaranteed good weather, which I believe that's why most festivals start in April. I've been to a ton of different festivals. One of my favorite ones is actually in California, which is no surprise. I lived there for 10 years. It was last year that I got to go to Stagecoach, and I am formally manifesting once again that I get to go to Stagecoach. I talk about this on one of the episodes of Misunderstood, my entire journey of getting to go to Stagecoach essentially for free and getting to do a partnership around Stagecoach, which literally paid for the entire thing, which was amazing. But I really enjoyed the festival itself. I am craving some festival energy. I'm craving some live music. I'm craving some warm weather, cute outfits, being social in a new place. I am craving it. So let's manifest this together that we're going to go to Stagecoach in 2026. And I'm looking forward to it. Aside from Stagecoach, festivals are just such a fun way to get out there, listen to live music, be social, wear cute outfits, have some fun. It's something that I really enjoyed in my earlier 20s. As long as I'm still loving them, I will still continue to do them. And number 27 is bring a new plant into your space. I have been gifted a few plants over the course of me living in New York City, but I realized that I have never went out of my way other than flowers, but flowers are different than plants. I have not went out of my way to buy a plant for my space. I really want to get either some succulents or a true plant that will actually grow into a bigger plant over time. I think it's fun to have something that you take care of and you kind of become a parent to the plant, but also plants for me just signal new life and growing and this fresh new energy. I'm looking forward to popping into some plant shops and browsing different types of plants and really just learning more about how to maintain them, how to keep them healthy. I really do want to get at least one new plant this year and have it in my space. All right. And that was 27 items. Very, very long list of things, but all of these things truly make me think of spring. And every single one, I just couldn't help but smile because I really, really cannot wait for the true spring energy to come. In my head, this episode feels a little early just because of the state of New York City right now. But I always have to remember that this is for a broader audience outside of New York City. And I want anybody, no matter where you are, to feel that spring energy because spring is coming regardless. Spring is literally going to be here officially in 2 to 3 weeks. So we have to get ready and we have to get our ideas on lock, really be ready to welcome this new season. It's going to be great. Winter, goodbye. We will not miss you. And I really hope that these items helped at least one person feel inspired and feel ready to take on this new spring season. And with that, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Misunderstood. Remember to rate the show 5 stars on Apple and Spotify and follow wherever you are listening. Join our Geneva group chat. It is always linked in the description of every single podcast episode. Hang out with me on my other socials, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest at NK Madani. And I will talk to you guys in my next one.